and welcome to another episode of 50 Shades in Grey. It's that time of year again where people start to look to go on the dating apps that are single, and it got me thinking the other day. I was out in a bar and I was watching people watching, as you do, what's nice to do when you go out, and I was noticing these guys going over to talk to these girls, and it just got me thinking about people's behaviour outside of dating apps and what's sort of expected when you meet people out and what's expected when you meet people on apps. And it's very different. So if you like on an app, if you're going to go up to someone and, you message them and just say, hey, how are you? A lot of the time that, women, they want to be, and the same as guys, I think, blown away by a first opening line, which in real life, is that ever going to happen? Has there ever been any great lines that have actually sort of impressed and bowled women over? For me personally, I've always just been a hey, how you doing sort of person, because I think usually there's a lot of eye contact before that happens, and you gauge whether someone's sort of got an interest in you or not, and then it's just a hi, hello. But you do that on a dating app, no, people want to know that you're going mountaineering, or you're driving a bike across the desert at the weekend, and that's going to be your first opening line. Can you imagine trying that in a bar? Hey, this week I'm scuba diving. Want to come with me? That girl's going to be calling the police within about 5 minutes, let me tell you, because she's going to think you're going to take her somewhere and bury her in the field. So it's very different, and it's very strange when you start thinking about people's behaviours on the apps and what's expected on an app compared to real life. So if a guy goes up to a girl at a bar and starts chatting to her, she's going to start talking to him, hopefully. And then what if another guy goes over? She starts talking to him as well. You just would never do that in real life. If you looked over in real life and you saw a guy talking to a girl, most people, you'll have the odd idiots that probably will go up and just barge you, but most people would be respectful and sort of stay away. But on the dating apps, you know that these girls and the guys as well are speaking to 4 or 5 people at once. Now, you imagine that in a real life situation with one person being spoke to by 4 or 5 people at the same time, and she's trying to hold conversations with every single one of these guys until like eventually a guy or a girl gets bored and just drops off, and then is just left with 4, and she's talking to all of those. And then she's thinking, actually, the one that left, he was quite nice. I should have carried on speaking to him, but never mind, I got these 4. And then she looks around, there's only 3. So that, and obviously this is happening both ways. It's not just men with women, it's women with men as well. So it's quite an interesting concept, especially when we start looking at how people act on with their pictures. So if I, walked up to a girl at a bar and just went, hey, I've caught a fish. Look at my fish. She's going to just, what's she going to think? But they're the pictures that we put on, guys. They seem to be the pictures that I hear most of them on from feedback. The guys are putting on pictures of them holding fish, and women are like, what's all this about? Why do guys like show you fish? You wouldn't do that if you was out. You wouldn't sort of get your phone and go, yeah, listen, have a look at this. This is the fish I caught at the weekend, because that girl is going to run a mile. Or girls, like, why would you like headstands? What's the headstand thing about? You're not going to meet a guy out in a bar and go, do you want to see me do a headstand? I can do a headstand because I do yoga. I'm going to show you a headstand. Let me do it right here now. The guy's going to think, gee, what is going on here? So our behavior on apps is completely different to how we act in real life. And I get it doesn't work on the apps. So you need to be selling yourself. But has it got to that extreme now where we've just lost touch a little bit with reality from when we're going on to these apps? The whole ghosting thing, I guess that maybe happens in real life where you're talking to someone and then, or someone's talking to you and you think, I just want out of here. So it's like I'm just going to go to the bathroom, and you never go back. So I guess that's like the life equivalent of ghosting. But in terms of height, guys, this is the other thing I get a lot from women, is that we keep lying about our height. You're not going to get away with that in real life. If you went up to a girl and you're like, let's say you're 5'6", 5'7", great height for guys. But if you go to the girl and just say, yeah, I'm 6'2", she knows you're not 6'2". Don't tell her you're 6'2" because she's looking at you. But we do it on the apps. On the apps, it's like, yeah, I'm 6'2". I mean, what are we hoping? In the hope that we're going to turn up and that we're going to blow them away with their personality, and they're going to completely forget that we're 5'7", and that they wanted a guy that was 6'2" because they're into taller guys. Hopefully, you would hope maybe they would. Realistically, not going to happen. Same with the hair thing. If you've got hair, great. If you haven't got hair, great. But don't sort of pretend that you have on these dating ads, because again, real life, if you're going up to a girl in a bar, you're not going to say, yeah, I've actually got hair, and she's looking at you and you've not got a hair on your head. She's going to know. Let me tell you that, you cannot get away with these things. It's the same with all these filters. You're not going to show pictures to guys in real life of you, of what you hope you look like. If you don't look like that, they're going to know what you look like because they're going to meet you. So make sure that whatever you're using is a reflection of what you actually look like, not something you fiddle about with an AI and change the bridge in your nose, how close your eyes are. Because when they meet you, they're going to know this. You wouldn't do it in real life. Like I said, you wouldn't show a guy a picture and go, look, this is what I should look like. This picture here is what I should look like. Don't worry about what I look like now. This is what I actually look like. You're not going to fool people with this. So let's try and just keep the behavior of how we keep it on in real life. Just nice and simple. It may work better. So it's the same with like the recent picture things. When people are going onto these apps, they're putting pictures up that are like 4 or 5 years old. I guess, I don't know what we're talking about. You can go back maybe a year or so, I guess, because a lot of us haven't got loads and loads of pictures on our phones of ourselves anyway. So, you're probably going to have ones a year, but not 4 or 5 years old. It's the same thing. You're not going to show people pictures of yourself 5 years ago if you met them in a bar. They're going to meet you in a bar. You're not going to go, well, actually, this is what I looked like 5 years ago, or, this is when I was 4 stone heavier or 5 stone lighter. They don't care. All they're looking at is where you are now and what you look like now and how you are now. So just be straightforward with it. These are my recent pictures. Put pictures on of you laughing. I mean, I think that's what attracts us to people as well, is how they are. When you're looking at someone in wherever it may be, you ever meet, where you meet them, you're going to be looking at how they interact with people. So maybe show those pictures, a picture of you laughing. Don't worry about if it's not the best picture in the world, but it shows that you're fun, I guess. Rather than these extravagant pictures of us sort of snowboarding and biking and, balancing on one foot somewhere over the Outer Hebrides. Great if you got those pictures and you can do it. But, people are not going to see that when they meet you out. They might get to know that in your life, but that's not going to be the be all and end all. They want to know that what sort of person you are. So if you're doing the apps at Christmas this year, keep it simple. Keep it as real to you as you can be, I guess, would be my suggestion. Not going to say advice, not going to give you advice, because we all need to find our own way and learn our own things. But from my experience and from speaking to a lot more women now who have given feedback about how guys act, and obviously speaking to guys, I know how women act. We're all trying to be the best versions of ourselves. I get it. But maybe we are the best versions of ourselves anyway. So just be that version that you actually are. Don't change things. Don't AI things. Don't exaggerate things. Be the person you are and you'll find the right person, I guess. And if not, like I keep saying, be happy on your own. Okay, if you're happy on your own, you're always going to be happy, and anything else that comes along is just going to be a bonus. But next time you're on the apps, think about how you'd act actually in real life maybe, and apply that to the app and see how that goes for you. Can it get any worse sometimes? They're a nightmare as it is at the best of times. So, and they're a lot of effort. So maybe just speak to one person, see where that goes. If that doesn't look like it's working out, fine, go on to someone else. But 5 or 6 at once, too much. It's too much. It's hard to keep bloody track of it, surely, as well, if you're doing that many. So who knows? You may lose people along the way that you actually could really like, and that could lead to something. Okay, so that's my advice for this time of year. Very quick, very short this time. Enjoy it. We'll be back soon. Thank you for following the podcast. Really appreciate all the support and all the messages that you send in. I'd love to hear any suggestions of stuff that you want to see. We've got more guests coming up, and we'll be back soon. So make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe, and we'll catch up soon. Take care, guys. Bye bye.